Alright, hey, I guess this one is a little different from what we usually do. It's like the thumbnail of the video says. It's just me explaining the Dandy's Road lore because I understand that they say their entire it's just a theory, but there's just a lot of things, like a lot, sort of like 18-minute amount of things that I wish they would not point out or would point out. So, yeah, and also, just letting you know, this video is very, very unscripted. I just wanted to make this to get my point across. So, yeah, it's gonna be jumbled around everywhere. And, at the end, Shork will explain, some of the stuff that I missed, or some stuff that I didn't explain. So, yeah, no cards, because it's literally just me, sort of. And, yeah, hope you enjoy it. Of me talking. Alright, start straight off the bat. One thing that pissed me off, or at least annoyed me, was the fact that they agreed that Icor is what caused all the tunes and stuff to go the cuckoo crazy. But in most of the descriptions of the Twisteds, it proves that theory all wrong. For an example, as of Twisted Astro, in his description, it explains that he was not overcome by ichor, but overcome by grief and sadness. Actually, most of the descriptions of the Twisteds point out the fact that it was not the ichor's fault, but their emotions. Like Tegan messed up by grief, Sprout messed up by being alone, away from his friends, Shelly being pissed off at being absolutely useless, stuff like that. Now, this point of emotion control makes it feel a lot more sense because it makes the existence of Twisted Glisten make a lot more sense. We're keeping him calm, we're keeping him controlled. We're ensuring that he does not go, literally insane or mad and go against us. So no, most likely not. Having multiple twisted phases is not how it works. Sorry to all you zombie stages fans or whatever. I don't know what it's called. Now, to continue on, the idea of Dandy just wanting to help his pals, I feel, or wanting to just control the Ichor, I mean, feels a little wrong. And where I take that is because the entire idea of the mains being twisted at all seems a little off. Danny doesn't seem to feel sorry about them. And in multiple conversations between tunes like frickin' Sprout and V, they point out that multiple times they have tried to talk with Dandy, though he just absolutely gives them the bombastic side eye and turns them away. Which is something that's sort of important. Now, my point is that Danny most likely still wants the tapes, which I'll explain later on why, and is pissed off about all the mains getting in his way. He's trying to do his plan, and the mains are like, "No, you're your best friend. You evil." So Danny's like, "Screw you! I'm now gonna turn you into my pawns." By doing crap like, for say, making all of the mains twisted, because there's no way that they would just become that themselves. So what I believe right now, with the lore that I have, is this is how all the mains got twisted. First of all, starting with an easy one like Shelly, as it says in her description, Shelly was just absolutely dunked on by everyone around her. She wasn't that popular, nobody bought her stuff. So what I believe is that Danny took that to her advantage, or his advantage, goddamn, and just absolutely roasted him out. Or he just let him die. Either way, it would have worked. And boom, Shelly is now gone. Alright, second one is Astro. Actually, no, let's do Sprout. Most likely, in the description of Sprout being brought away from his best friend for a very long time, I suggest, and what other people have suggested, at least what I've seen from the fandom, is that Astro... God damn, I keep on saying Astro. Sprout has been locked away in a dark room for a very long time. Away from his friends and everything. Probably by Dandy, who went up to him and said, yo best friend, he dead. And then locked him in a room to die. And then boom, that's how he became emo, most likely. It makes sense. Now, onto something like Pebble, who's actually most likely the first one. Pebble, I feel, is pretty obvious. He was just a dog, Dandy's best dog, so he probably was just taken control of by Dandy, because it does say in the description that he is Dandy's guard dog and everything. You know? Yeah. Now, to something like V and Astro, I'm saying and, because they were most likely connected in their situation. Now, it has been shown in conversations between the Toons that both V and Astro care for each other. Like, you know, Astro constantly helping V, and V asking Astro if he needs any help with anyone bothering him. You know, stuff like that. So I believe is because of the reasoning of V having a ginormous split in her stomach, you know, and Astro being overcome by grief. I do believe that V sacrificed herself. That I feel like that would be what would really put the nail in the coffin to actually cause Astro to go crazy like that. And also, V probably got murked by either Pebble or Shelly to get that scar in her twisted form. Yeah, and then V was most likely taken over by pain. Because having your stomach split isn't very a good feeling. You right? Or am I just wrong and I've never experienced it? Yeah, it's probably bad. Now, to get on to the reasoning of why Dandy is doing all this kooky crap, I slightly agree with what the theory men, yes, the theory men, have come up with. The idea of Dandy wanting to keep the show going by collecting the tapes, I sort of agree with. Yeah, it's fine. I agree. Approved. Though, I just... The thing that I don't agree with is, you know, the entire idea of Dandy acting innocent and, like, not being able to control it. Because Dandy is most certainly evil. It's all just a lie. He's just trying to control his friends and use them as a way to collect more tapes. And whenever they don't follow him... Kablooey! Yeah. As we all know, the big backed twisted Dandy appears, and then he starts doing his crap. Which, as most of y'all probably guessed, isn't really that good. I really should have scripted this, shouldn't I? Okay, now, to get back on point. Or should I say, get back on pedal. That was horrible. If you couldn't tell, I'm stalling for time because I forgot what I was gonna say. Now, I do believe that something that they didn't point out is the idea that Bobbit is still, you know, absolutely functional. And they never really touched on the ideas of the festive tunes. Like, yeah, sure, they pointed out the fact that they were, you know, stored in the closet for a very long time. You know, maybe that's why maybe they would get along with Sprout. Yeah, so they were locked away for a long time, but they never really touch on the fact of Bobbit still being functional and everything. Now, what I do believe is the reasoning is because of Dandy's good old pawn shenanigans. What I think in my opinion, is that Dandy freed them from the closets of the basement and went, yo, 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 you want to become, you want to become the frickin' pawn for me? I really should have scripted this. And of course they go yes, and now Bobbit is sort of a sentinel that appears at Christmas time. It's still unknown why they only appear on Christmas. Like, why the hell doesn't Dandy just use that absolute sentinel all the time? But hey, it just work when it works. It works. Yeah, I guess that's cool. This was very useless. I should have scripted this so bad. Alright, now to get on to stuff like... you gotta do stuff like, oh, but if you're saying all this stuff like Dandy going, frickin', evil mode, why is that? Now, I do believe, in my opinion... Okay, I'll stop saying that. That Dandy was just most likely pissed about, you know, them shutting everything down, like literally leaving them in a closet, as they would usually do to stuff like the festives. So, you know, he goes absolutely sicko mode on them. And I don't know. Here's the thing. Yes, all of that is explained in the Theory Men's video, but what they don't point out is the reasoning of leaving the tunes behind. They all go on about like, oh, they left. Dandy was the reason that they were locked behind there. Dandy was the one who left them behind. I mean, kept them there. God damn, I wish I scripted this for the third time. And basically, I disagree with that. Because why the hell would someone like Delilah, you know, the kooky, crazy scientist sort of person, leave behind one of the greatest experiments and creations they've ever left? Or had? That's what I'm asking. And they never really touch onto that. They just go, oh, it's Dandy's fault. He goes trap and scap him. But, like, we have things called the U.S. military force. I feel like at least something like the police department would be able to step in. But hey, maybe they were fearing stuff. Like you may be thinking, what if they were fearing stuff like, oh, but the police will go, what the hell is this, and kick their ass. But still, they could have probably just like, you know, did it themselves. They could have at least put them in their own little department or something. So what I think, that Dandy did not just get a little pissed off afterwards about, you know, everyone leaving them behind. I'm pretty sure some classical Playtime Co. shenanigans happened out. And as those who would know, those who snow, as some would say, everybody got murked by the mascots. So most likely, Dandy, with his oppressive power and Garden View's severe lack of security, most likely got everybody murked. Let's be honest. Now, I know you may be saying, which you probably aren't, but where the blood? There's no blood anywhere. We don't see any bodies. And that is something I actually don't know. I'm just sort of doing my own thing, you got it? I have my own opinions. Not all of it is okay. I'm still at a split between this theory and the theory that Dandy was the reason that everyone stayed there, or they were left behind, like nothing but scrap. Still, it's not, it's okay. I just want to be there. I just want to do my theory crap. God. Okay? You got it? You better. Alright, now back on track. Now, something that they say in there which is sort of odd for an entirety that I slightly touched on in the back, is the fact that they agree that Ichor is just an unstable thing that Dandy is trying to mess with. Though the thing is that I disagree with, as I explained a while ago, is that Dandy does not give a crap about controlling the Ichor. He's most likely trying to, destabilize it by literally causing Shelly to want to kill herself. So what I think is that Ichor is not some crazy material that is literally God's blood. I find it more as something like, I don't know, unstable like matter. Well, not unstable matter now that I'm thinking of it. That's too. Look, just something that's very weird. It's like water. If you boil it, then it's gonna start, it's gonna start bubbling out. It's gonna start going all crazy, like how the emotions of the Twisteds go, causing them to, grow in size, getting bigger body parts, or just getting new body parts altogether. Though when you freeze it, like when you cool it down, when you calm it down, it all sort of stays into shape, which is also my reasoning on why the Twisteds cannot untwist themselves. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna say it now. How they can't untwist themselves. Basically, it's just something like water. Once you boil it and then freeze it, it's gonna be stuck in that position. Well, actually, if you did have real water, then it would freeze. But you get what I'm saying. It would boiled it. It would change shape from what it originally was, and then yeah, it's gonna melt down into a large mass from whatever ice sculpture was. And then if you try to freeze it back, it's gonna stay as that amalgamation. Which I feel like is something that they didn't touch back on. Like, why are these guys twisted? Why is there no cure? Everything. Like, I really wish they touched on with that. But they didn't. They just went on to agree that this was Bendy and the Ick Machine crap, and this is an infection. And also, this isn't about the lore, but I feel like what they were doing with the video very wrong is that they were like mixing it with other ideas. They kept on like bringing back the idea of like Freddy Fazbear's and Bendy and the Ink Machine. They weren't thinking of it as their own, like, as its own horror. They just kept on, like, making remarks of similarities. They just, which sort of pissed me off, if I were to be honest. 'Cause like that's like treating your dog as if it was one of your 50 cats. Like, it's its own thing that has its own sort of lore, and they just kept on like they blinded themselves thinking that, oh, this thing works like that thing, even though it's completely different. Something like the Ichor, they just kept on going on like, oh, Ichor is, the infectionist stuff, but in reality it's just like water boiling, which I really wish they touched on, if I'm gonna be honest. I was so disappointed when I was watching that, and they go on, and I hear the sacred words of them going, it's an infection. That made my blood boil, if I'm gonna be honest. So, yeah, I really hope that people watch this and understand, how this crap works, instead of the slight incorrectancies. Yes, incorrectancies of what the theory men made. So, yeah, that's my point on it. Sorry for not scripting this, but also just remember, remember that that's just an idea.
Hi, Bendy here. I'm gonna be reading out a theory. Alright. Yeah. Basically, the thing that Rocket's gonna elaborate on is the fact that more proof on how V and Astro are friends. Basically, in the dialogue, it's shown that V and Astro is a lot closer because here is in the dialogue that Astro is V's only friend, at least one of the friends out of the mains. This is proven with the dialogue on how V usually makes fun of the other land, outright ignores them, Havel and Shelley. Now, another thing that there's nothing else is how Havel and V could have been twisted. It's something like Havel. He could have just hurt his dog or something. He's a good dog owner. He's driven by Quell. So, Dandy has some control over the Ichor. I pronounce it Ichor, not Ichor. And also, this means that Ichor is also sort of is an infection. So, also still the idea that he sort of just died. I don't know, out of pure pain. I'm not gonna lie, your son still isn't very that fun of a feeling. That's really all I have to explain now. Among Us!